This is the KitchensinkWP Podcast, episode 485.
I program my home computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. Why, hello everybody, this is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events, no WordCamps next weekend. Kind of sad, but true. Moving on to segment one, in the news, not much going on. I think WordCamp Europe, which was in Athens, Greece, took the focus of the news stuff. I'm sure there'll be a lot more coming out this next week or so. I did see some chatter on the interwebs, I think it was on Twitter, that someone reported they were seeing a lot of attempted logins and attempted hacking, but there was no single vector that was the common. It wasn't one host, it wasn't one theme or a plugin, and nothing reported by WordFence or PatchStack. So I don't know what that was about, but we should see. Hopefully, we won't see anything more from it. But keep that in mind. Make sure you have a good, solid backup in place, and lock things down. Use strong passwords and limit who has access to your site. That's just my advice for the moment. All right, that's it in the news. Moving right along to segment 2, meat potatoes. But before that, here is a word from this week's sponsor.
If you're a content creator like me, then you're probably in need of an easy way to increase user engagement and reduce user attrition. Lucky for me, I found Bread and Butter IO. What does Bread and Butter IO do? Well, they help small businesses on WordPress to convert more visitors into customers. How, you ask? By making it easy to implement single sign-on, aka SSO, which will future-proof your website. A few of the major features that Bread and Butter provide are the ability to use SSO for content gating and lead capture, as well as universal newsletter sign-up. Bread and Butter also integrates seamlessly with other tools like Zapier, Slack, Google Analytics, and your email service provider. Like analytics? Well, Bread and Butter has you covered there too, with the ability to track page views, see where the users came from, and track the user journey. Oh, and all that data fully exportable. With full white glove service and 24/7 support, Bread and Butter IO is impressive. With prices starting at free, yes, free, you really have nothing to lose in trying it out. So head over to breadandbutter.io to learn more and sign up today.
And again, thanks to Bread and Butter for sponsoring this week's episode. Really do appreciate having you on board. Really cool. I'm going to have to dive in more. Maybe I'll do one of the videos on that. Anyway, moving on. Segment 2, meat potatoes. This week, I'm diving back into the conversation I've had about content creation. Now, I've talked about this in the past, but it's been a solid 6 months from what I can see in my past notes. And with the launching of my most recent project, a shameless plug here, sillylittlegoals.com. You should go sign up right away. And hosting the 3-day webinar just a week and a half ago, that was for free as well. I'm kind of having what I'm calling a moment of inspiration, whereas I want to keep the momentum going. So that said, here's my 5-step plan to 9x my and your content creation. And I'll get to why I say 9x in a bit here. So number 1, commit to block scheduling. That is what I'm going to do, because block scheduling is highly beneficial to content creation. It provides dedicated time for creativity, eliminates multitasking. If you don't know this, multitasking is not a real thing. It enhances workflow efficiency. It's the consistency aspect, and it allows for the flexibility and adaptation of working on things, but you got to commit to it. Okay, I did this back in college. I forgot all about this, and I've been doing it, as a trial now for the past 6 months since I talked about this last, I think, and it's working. But I'm going to really commit in a much more highly focused way. I think this will really help in doing this to block schedule my day and week as well. Number 2, I'm going to create and use a content calendar. Now, we've all heard the quote, I've heard it many times, quote, developing a content calendar is an effective way to plan and organize your content creation efforts, end quote. I've seen that many times online. But what does it really mean? Well, looking at myself and this podcast is a good start. I have a routine. Monday, I do X. Wednesday, I do Y. Saturday, Sunday, I record the episode at Z, etc. So I'm going to create an outline of a schedule of when and what types of content I'll be creating and publishing. I'm going to break it down by the day, the week, the month, and it depends on your frequency. That's what you need to figure that out. So an example would be for myself, Monday, I'm going to write. Tuesday, I'm going to do some video shooting. Wednesday, I'll edit that video, etc. This will provide me a roadmap and it'll help me stay focused and committed to producing content consistently. That's the key, right? Okay, so I'm going to use a content calendar across the board, not just the podcast. I mean, I've done the podcast every week for over 9 years, so it can be done. I just need to take a much wider view of that as well. And so do you, if you're trying to do this. Number 3, set realistic goals and deadlines. Now, I'm piggybacking on the content calendar, so I'm going to be establishing specific goals for my content creation, such as the number of blog posts, videos, podcast episodes that I want to get out in a given time frame. I'm going to break those goals down into smaller milestones as well, with deadlines to keep myself accountable. Okay, and the key here is that I make sure the deadlines are realistic and achievable. So you need to also consider your available time and resources. I have the time. My day-to-day is wide open technically. All my kids are older, so I don't have that responsibility that some other people out there may have. But setting achievable goals and deadlines will help myself, help you maintain a constant creation routine as well. So kind of piggyback on the content calendar with the realistic goals and deadlines. Number 4, outsource and delegate tasks. Now, in thinking about my plan, I realized that I just might need to get some additional help. Now, it's an investment in time and money, both my time and my money to start, but it makes sense. I mean, I already have help. I have a small team in the day-to-day of the agency, but the key here is that I document what I do for those pieces of the puzzle. In this case, nothing has to do with the agency. It's other stuff that I'm looking to do. We'll get to that in a minute here. But I need to make sure I have processes in place and documented. So then when I'm ready to hire someone, I can offload it and have that training solution be much easier to do, if that makes sense. Okay. Again, I'm going to outsource and delegate tasks that will take it off my plate. I'm going to focus on the things that only I can do. And I will outsource other pieces of it, the post-production, if you will, the scheduling to somebody else who can do that as well. I think it'll be a better use of my time as well. And number 5, I'm going to engage with the target audiences. Now, in this case, I need to create more of a two-way road, which will look different based on the type of content I share. Now, loads of studies have shown that building a strong relationship with an audience is crucial. I know this is true because you're all listening to this podcast right now. And I ask for Q&A every so often. Every 8 weeks, I do the Q&A episode for listeners, and it works. And I get emails during the week as well, just from other stuff coming in. For this podcast, maybe I do a Twitch stream while recording, or as I've mentioned about doing some video how-tos, I could do it on that as well, right? So I want to engage the audiences, and so do you. Meet them where they're at. Have it be two ways, because the more we do that, it's going to be better for overall relationship building as well. So I realize that becoming what I'm calling a prolific, content creator won't be easy, but it doesn't have to be hard or scary either. I just had this, realization with putting out 4, 5, 6 pieces of content in the last couple of weeks per week that it's doable. I want to keep that momentum. My time starts now. Your time starts now too. No more waiting around for this to happen. Okay. Why 9X, by the way? Well, in prepping for this week's podcast, I started about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, just with the idea about talking about this. I wrote out the multitude of projects and ideas and properties that I own and I want to address. And I narrowed it down to 9. And I hear you people out there, some of my friends chuckling. I see you, I hear you, Sally and Kyle. But keep in mind, I have at least 15 or 20 other things I could have added to this, but I narrowed it down to 9. And if you're interested in knowing what those are, by all means, let me know, and maybe I'll answer those in the Q&A. But I left off a solid 5 or 6 other projects and properties and websites that I have. But for right now, I'm going to focus down to the 9. But the 9 are, by the way, Kitchen Sink is one of them. Run Adam Run is another one. Stuff I already have. But the goal is to be prolific and consistent in those areas. I'm already doing something with them. I want to do more with those. I'm not like adding 9 brand new things. Things I do, just trying to, take it up a level. That's all. All right. I'm curious. Any of these help you? Any feedback? I would love to hear your feedback on this. Try to 9X my content creation. So there you go. Let me know what you think. Moving on, segment 3, tip until the week. This week's tip is a plugin. It's a plugin for WooCommerce. It's YITH, YITH, YITH WooCommerce catalog mode. I was testing something out for somebody and a little idea to have a WooCommerce catalog, but not have things for sale. So what this allows you to do is you can turn the sale button kind of off. So that way you can just have a catalog of products and they can contact you to make a purchase, come over, place an order, etc. Kind of neat. I'll put a link in the show notes. It's free, by the way. So check that out. It's installed on 60,000 websites. It was updated 4 weeks ago. Pretty cool. Once again, it's called YITH WooCommerce catalog mode. YITH. So, okay. There you have it. Let me wrap it up here. If you have any questions, go ahead, send it in via email, adam@kitchensinkwp.com, or use the speak pipe function of the website. If you want to support the show, become a Patreon. That'd be fantastic. kitchensinkwp.com/Patreon. Sponsor the show like breadandbutter.io. You could do that too. There's a form on the website. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right? Bye-bye.